right honourable gentleman is betraying his inexperience. It's a shame he needs all that help and experience. The rest of us have just got on with the job. But the Department of Health manages incredibly sensitive information, ranging from the development of healthcare policy to the handling of market-sensitive information concerning vaccines and medication, and, of course, rules regarding patient confidentiality. Now, it's emerged that Mr Milburn, with a former Labour politician, received more than £8 million from his personal consultancy firm since 2016. He advises one of the largest providers of residential care for older people and is apparently a senior advisor on health to a major consultancy firm on health. The member opposite is saying, so what? Given the risks of conflict of interest, and that is the point of this UQ, not the right honourable gentleman's inexperience, given the risks of conflicts of interest, has Mr Milburn declared his business interests to the department, and can the right honourable gentleman reassure the House on how these conflicts are being managed? So that we can get a sense of the scale of this open-door policy and Mr Milburn's access. Could the right honourable gentleman tell us how many meetings has Mr Milburn attended? How many were with NHS England? How many were conducted without ministerial presence? What sensitive information has Mr Milburn been given access to? Does it include information concerning the sale of patient information to pharmaceutical companies? Has Mr Milburn seen internal DHSE or NHSE documents regarding the pricing of medicines, vaccinations and other market-sensitive information? This is all information that comes across his desk, and there is no formal record for understanding what Mr Milburn has seen. And if the right honourable gentleman uses, as he has just now, the excuse that this is all OK because Mr Milburn is a former Secretary of State and a Privy Councillor, could the right honourable gentleman set out where, in the Ministerial Code or the Civil Service Code, such an exemption exists for unrecorded access to information by members of the public? Now, so that we get a sense of just how far this is going, the Secretary of State will also, I hope, confirm his lists of other advisers, their commercial interests, and any other members of the public attending meetings that have a deeply sensitive nature. But finally, this is just more evidence of cronyism at the heart of this new Labour government. Because following recent press reports that a Labour Party worker has been parachuted into the department in a civil service role through a closed recruitment process, will the Secretary of State finally come clean to the House and be transparent about who is running his department and shaping policy for him?
She wants to compare experience, Madam Deputy Speaker. It took me 3 weeks to agree a deal with junior doctors. She hadn't even met them since March. She hadn't even met them since March. And in the 2.5 years I was the Shadow Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, she was the 5th and among the worst. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, doesn't it just tell you everything you need to know about the Conservatives' priorities? She doesn't ask me what we're doing to cut waiting lists. She doesn't ask about the action we took to end strikes. She doesn't ask about the action that's been taken to hire 1,000 GPs who she left to graduate into unemployment. She's not asked me about the news on the front page of the Daily Telegraph that on their watch, 50 years of health progress is in decline, and funnily enough, nothing on the news from the Observer this weekend that the NHS was hit harder than any other health service by the pandemic because it was uniquely exposed by a decade of Conservative neglect. And having broken the NHS, all they're interested in now is trying to tie this government's hands behind our backs to stop us cleaning up their mess. What she is implying in this question is that as Health Secretary, she never sought the advice of people who didn't work in her department, which would explain quite a lot, actually. I feel sorry for the right honourable lady, because when I need advice, I can call on any number of Labour health secretaries who help deliver the shortest waiting times and the highest patient satisfaction in history. But she never had that luxury, because every single one of her Conservative predecessors left NHS waiting lists higher than where they found them. Except, of course, for Therese Coffey, who was outlasted by a lettuce. In fact, it says a lot about the modern Conservative Party's anti-reform instincts that she is so opposed to Alan Milburn. They used to hug him close when they were cosplaying as New Labour. Andrew Lansley even asked whether he would share the new clinical commissioning board his top-down reorganisation created, although Alan sensibly turned him down and labelled the reorganisation, and I quote, the biggest car crash in the history of the NHS, which just goes to prove, Madam Deputy Speaker, that Alan Milburn has got sound judgment and is worth listening to. But if she wants to lead with her chin and talk cronyism, let's talk cronyism. Why don't we talk about Owen Pattinson's lobbying health ministers on behalf of Randox? They care so much about cronyism, they welcome Lord Cameron back with open arms following his paid lobbying for Greensill. And for reasons of ongoing court cases, let's not even get into Baroness Moan and the £200 million contract for PPE. Where was she during those sorry episodes, cheering that government on and presiding over a record of abysmal failure that's put them on that side of the chamber? Not only is this government having to rebuild the public services they broke and rebuild the public finances they raided, we're also having to rebuild the trust in politics that they destroyed. We will put politics back into the service of working people, rebuild all three, and clearly we'll have to do it without the support of the Conservative Party's One Nation tradition, because they're not even running and they have abandoned their flag. It's clear the Conservatives haven't learned a thing from the defeat they were subjected to on the 4th of July, and we'll get on with the business of clearing up their mess.